A message has been issued by the leadership to mark Army Day in Iran, highlighting the role of the nation's armed forces. In the statement, Mojtaba Khamenei praised the army for what he described as its courage in defending the country during recent conflict, as well as in earlier wars. The message stated that Iran's army has been safeguarding the nation's land, waters, and sovereignty, particularly in the face of what was described as aggression involving the United States and Israel. It added that the army has been operating alongside other branches of the armed forces, maintaining coordination and unity. According to the statement, the military has acted with strong support and cohesion. It also referred to capabilities, including drone operations and naval readiness, indicating that forces remain prepared to respond to potential threats. Army Day is observed on the 29th of Farvardin, marking the formal establishment of the army following the Iranian Revolution. The day was designated by Ruhollah Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic Republic.
Regardless, if the enemy fails to reach its goals, it has been defeated. That's clear. We did not launch an attack. He was the aggressor. He had certain objectives. He wanted to force Iran to surrender.
He was talking about a period of 2 or 3 days. How many days has it been today?
For more than 40 long days, we fought. Now it's been 10 days of ceasefire, perhaps even 10 or 12 days already. But despite all that, within those 40 days, he was compelled to declare a ceasefire. Therefore, he utterly failed to make us surrender.
He had been trying to bring about a change in the regime, but he ultimately failed to change it.
He thought Iran was Venezuela and that it would act exactly like Venezuela. 4 days later, he'll come back and say, well, we've seized Iran's oil. Anyone who wants oil, come and take it from the Persian Gulf. This was also one of his objectives. This is the third objective. He said, I would definitely say in the early days with the bombings I carry out, as it will destroy Iran's missile capability. As time went on, he observed that our rate of fire, our precision, remained completely unaffected. No matter how much he bombed, he realized he was utterly unable to eliminate our offensive power. And we had previously stated that such an outcome would never, ever come to pass. Even Sedige, we were vulnerable in the launchers. This time, you saw that in this sector, our firepower and the variety of our attacks were revealed. In Isfahan, a disaster worse than the Tabas fiasco was faced. He had planned to support the counter-revolution from our western and eastern borders. He admitted, I gave weapons to a number of these individuals to launch attacks and keep us engaged there. Every single effort he made was unsuccessful. He was constantly seeking internal unrest, both before the war and after the war. We clearly saw this. Well, he was actually unable to accomplish that. So he decided to launch a full-scale ground attack. He couldn't. He came forward intending to address the Strait of Hormuz and its opening, meaning to seize control of this vital passage to open it up. He invited the entire world, but no one responded to him. He invited NATO, but no one answered him. He himself came to carry out this task, but no one answered him. Well, it's quite clear that we are victorious in this situation. Even they themselves are acknowledging this fact. Even the enemy is admitting this truth. Our friends, the global public opinion, they all say it. But you must understand, this is profoundly different from us claiming that we have completely annihilated their entire army. We shot down close to 170 or 180 drones in the previous round. We didn't have such a defense capability. Look, all these events happened in 7 or 8 months. Yes. You see, at this precise moment, I don't have the opportunity to delve into it, but I will definitely recount what an incredible miracle the revolution truly was, and the immense sagacity and strategic insight the supreme leader demonstrated specifically within the challenging domain of asymmetric warfare, and also concerning the remarkable progress in scientific fields. Indeed, everyone has witnessed these profound developments firsthand. The enemy themselves have commented on this. After all, shooting down an F-35 is not a simple incident. It's not just a coincidence. This is the culmination of extensive efforts across many different dimensions, encompassing technical capabilities and design expertise. Let me put it this way. Just take a look. Now, those who are meant to grasp the full implications of what I'm saying will undoubtedly comprehend my message. If you witnessed that particular missile, which detonated in close proximity to the aircraft, and I won't delve into the intricate technical discussions surrounding this event, exploded, then you yourselves must have clearly understood the profound significance of this capability and the direction in which we are undeniably moving. So, what I truly wish to convey is that between our first war and this second conflict, which occurred after an interval of 8 or 9 months, and this war in essence re-emerged for a second time, this particular design, this development came to pass, and these inherent capabilities were clearly demonstrated. But the very first and most crucial point that I truly want to bring to your attention here right now is this. It stems directly from our collective experience during the First War, and if you would just take a moment to recall, during that initial conflict, we encountered a rather significant delay lasting approximately 14 to 15 hours in the execution of our reaction in our counterattack that actually took place. However, in this particular conflict, considering that the Supreme Commander-in-Chief was martyred, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps also fell as a martyr, and the Chief of the General Staff was likewise martyred. These profound losses could have indeed caused a very significant and detrimental disruption to our forces. However, we observed that our reaction was carried out in the shortest possible time. This operation was carried out with great precision. My dear people, the strait is completely under the control of the Islamic Republic. You recall they intended to dispatch minesweepers to clear the area. Well, we firmly stood our ground against them, and we confronted them directly. We considered these actions a clear violation of the ceasefire agreement, and we explicitly stated that if they proceeded, we would retaliate. We even went as far as the point of direct engagement. They were forced to retreat. When I was present at that location, our brother, Mr. Abdullahi, made contact with me. He said their minesweeper had positioned itself in such a way that if it didn't stop right there, our missile would certainly strike it. I then told the American delegation present at that location, I told them, you are on this border. If it advances any further, we will absolutely engage it. They requested a mere 15 minutes from us. I said, sir, just give us 15 minutes and we will issue the order for them to return. And I gave the order and it turned back. After his return, Abdullahi also called me. He said, yes, he came back 50 minutes ago. I mean, just look. So if any movement or passage is taking place in the strait today and it's proceeding, we are the ones who maintain complete control of the strait. Now for 2-3 days, they've come and laid siege. What does siege truly mean? It means everyone else can freely come and go, but Iran is forbidden to pass. What an incredibly naive, clumsy, and utterly foolish decision. Seriously, if this is indeed a strait and we are present here and all those who wish to pass through this very location are allowed to proceed while we are not permitted to do so, is that truly a feasible or even a remotely possible scenario?
This is mistake upon mistake.
Naturally, I made it quite clear that if they do not lift the blockade, then traffic through the strait will most certainly become restricted, and indeed significant limitations will be imposed upon it.
3 attacks, 1 narrow choke point, and a crisis is spiraling fast. Within hours, at least 3 commercial vessels came under IRGC fire in the Strait of Hormuz on Saturday, turning one of the world's busiest maritime corridors into a live war zone. According to US and UK maritime authorities, the incidents unfolded rapidly. The United Kingdom Maritime Operations flagged gunfire near passing tankers, while a US defense official confirmed multiple strikes. At least 1 ship was hit and damaged, though no injuries were reported. In a chilling radio exchange, a vessel cleared to enter the strait was suddenly fired upon, forcing an immediate retreat. Adding to the alarm, tracking data suggests 2 of the targeted ships were Indian vessels, including one carrying nearly 2 million barrels of Iraqi oil, highlighting just how global the stakes are in this critical passage. And now, the situation has escalated even further. Iran has announced that the Strait of Hormuz is once again closed to traffic, citing ongoing tensions with the United States. The move comes in response to what Tehran calls a US naval blockade and acts of maritime piracy.
Omid, the spokesman for the Khatam Al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, has officially declared that following the United States' persistent and repeated breaches of its agreements, the operational status of the Strait of Hormuz has now reverted to its previous state of stringent and heightened control. Consequently, this critically strategic waterway is currently under the direct and comprehensive management and strict oversight of the nation's armed forces. According to the spokesperson for the Khatam Al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, Iran, in line with prior agreements reached during negotiations and in good faith, has consented to the controlled passage of a limited number of oil and commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. But the Americans, with a long and well-established record of repeated betrayals, still continue their banditry and sea piracy under the guise of their so-called blockade. The spokesperson for Khatam Al-Anbiya Central Headquarters also stated that as long as the United States does not cease its obstruction of the full freedom of movement for vessels traveling to and from Iran, the Strait of Hormuz will remain under strict control and in its current state.
Iranian officials warned that until Washington guarantees full freedom of navigation for Iranian-linked vessels, the strait will remain under tight control.
We were so close, but there were some differences over important issues, which United States actually decided not to abandon its maximalist position. So that was the reason that we decided to first finalize this framework and then move on to in-person meetings, I can say. So this is why that Field Marshal Asim Munir was in Tehran from Wednesday evening until Friday, and there were plenty of messages and meetings back and forth happened, and also texts was exchanged. We are still not there yet to move on to an actual meeting because there are issues that Americans yet have not abandoned their maximalist positions. There are ideas, based on Iran's actual needs, and within Iran's, rights and responsibility, and under IAEA. You have to know, and your audience should know, that each gram of enriched uranium, which Americans are now trying to make a voice out of that, and noise out of that, have been done under IAEA supervision. Each gram of that has been done under IAEA monitoring, the constant monitoring in Iran. So before the aggression and before the bombing, they were under 24-hour surveillance of IAEA. Now they have bombed. They are just beneath these tunnels. But we hope that we find a mutually acceptable, and of course within the IAEA regulations, to address any concerns remained. I can tell you that no enriched material is going to be shipped to United States. This is non-starter, and I can assure you that while we are ready to address any concerns that we do have, we are not going to accept things that they are non-starter. We are trying to secure a lasting peace, and lasting peace should be based on international law. United States cannot make Iran an exception in international law. We as a sovereign state are entitled to rights embedded in international regulations, and we are very much logical in our arguments that we are ready to address the concerns that possibly the other side have, but it should be in the framework of international law. And second, the other side also should understand and address our main concerns, which are illegal unilateral sanctions that Americans have imposed on Iranians, and this economic terrorism which have targeted Iranian people to suffocate them and make them to revolt against the political structure inside Iran. I can tell you that Iran has no option just to stop aggressors and once forever. We are defending. This was not our choice. This war was not our choice. It was unnecessary, unprovoked war of aggression. It started by Americans and Israelis in the middle of negotiation, and while they were just conspiring behind the scene that negotiations work well, and they were promising that there have been good and significant progress. Then they started surprise assassinations. They assassinated the head of state, martyred a standing our leader in his office, and off-duty commanders, not in situation room, not in front line, but also in their offices. So this shows to what extent we have to be very careful and being ready for any scenario.